Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple.
The 4-4-2 formation is still considered the go-to for many football clubs and Sunday league teams around the world. Named so as it has 4 defenders, 4 midfielders and 2 strikers, the formation has a lot of versatility, and in today's quick video, we'll look at the ways that these players can be used in this formation, as well as a couple of strengths and weaknesses. So let's dive right in. We'll first look at the formation in possession. As there is only 2 of them in this formation, the centre-backs tend to be less adventurous on the ball, unless facing teams who apply no pressure, where we may see a centre-back look to drive up the pitch with the ball. But the midfielders are more varied, and here is the biggest potential weakness of a 4-4-2. Having only 2 central midfielders, where most modern teams use 3 midfielders, there's a danger of being overloaded there and being more easily pressed. This is the reason this formation is less used amongst high possession teams. A recent exception we saw to this is Guardiola's 2020-2021 City side, who used a base 4-4-2. But the forwards on paper are naturally midfielders, so they would often drop in to create a 4, so now they had the advantage there. Most teams would instead drop one centre forward if they wanted to mitigate against this overload in the midfield. But generally, if a team wishes to be more solid in defence, we see the double pivot act as a platform, meaning they will both sit deeper so any counter-attacks will have an extra line to get through, whilst the pivots can also effectively shift to cover the wide regions. But more commonly, the pair will operate in a pendulum manner, with one midfielder advancing high to join the attack and string passes together or even have a shot, whilst the other holds deep in case of a counter-attack. One of the major attacking strengths of the formation is the ability to stretch opponents wide, due to naturally having 2 men out there. This can even be exacerbated as forwards can make runs into the channel, knowing that they have a partner who can still occupy the centre. But if the 4-4-2 is set up more defensively, the fullbacks can hold their positioning deeper, although this is less common in the modern game. Instead, if the goal is to increase the overload out wide, the forwards can overlap to draw an opposition fullback deeper and make space for their winger, or to be a passing option. But more commonly, overlapping fullbacks work with inverted widemen, who, knowing they have a man holding the width outside, can drift in centrally. This can be to help the midfield because, as we discussed, it can be overloaded, or they can help to overload the box with the 2 forwards and try to get on the end of crosses from the fullback. Another advantage of the 4-4-2 is it allows 2 forwards to be against 2 centre-backs, or this can be viewed as 1v1s. So individual quality comes more into the equation. If a centre-back is isolated and the forward is an elite dribbler or has elite pace, it can cause a problem, or if a forward is much more dominant aerially. In addition, the centre-back can be drawn into man-marking scenarios, and with one forward often dropping deep, this can create gaps in the backline that can be exploited. And defensively, the 4-4-2 has some advantages. If a team is hyper-aggressive in the press, it can allow them to essentially go man-to-man with a back 4, whilst the fullbacks push higher up backing this up. However, the forward's use of cover shadows would have to be perfect, as again the weakness of this formation is being outnumbered in the midfield, so if the ball did get through this first wave of pressure, it would spell major danger. But the 4-4-2 is excellent for mid and lower blocks. There are 2 men out wide, making them hard to overload, whilst the team can be compact and minimize the spaces between defenders. The biggest difference compared to teams using 1 up top is that having 2 forwards, particularly if compact, can make central entry into the midfield much more difficult. This naturally filters the opponents wide, where a stronger press can be enacted. Every formation has typical strengths and weaknesses, but good tacticians can mitigate these through micro-adaptations. But these are the strengths and the weaknesses of a 4-4-2. Great examples of teams using the 4-4-2 are Simeone's Atleti and Pellegrini's City, both linked now and down in the comment section. But what formations do you want explored next? Comment down below.